Thank y'all for being here. Appreciate everybody that shows up each week. I really do. Appreciate the exposure. 1-0 in Sun Belt play after a hard-fought battle in Monroe, Louisiana on Saturday. Really a tale of two halves. Played our best complete football in the first half. Thought that was really positive to see. Offensively, it's the best we've played since the bowl game. The second half in the bowl game versus North Texas. Defensively, after the first drive, thought we settled in the first half, played really well. And then the second half was our worst half of football, probably even worse than the first half versus Boise earlier in the year. Just disappointing in a lot of ways. To recap, special teams, the negatives first. We continue to be inconsistent on our kickoff return unit. We have not given Marcus very many opportunities at all. And he's one of the top returners in the country. We've got to do a better job of getting on people and giving him some chances. We had the targeting penalty, which it was correct. I don't think it was malicious in intent by Javier, but he definitely left his feet. Then we had the missed field goal in the fourth quarter that would have put the game on out of reach for them that we missed. The positives are the Green, who was a first-team All-American kickoff returner, was a non-factor in the return game. We held him. He had, I think, one kickoff return, one punt return. Our punt team continues to do a really nice job in coverage. We had one punt return for -1 yards. And then Bratcher Underwood, he had five of our 6 kickoffs for touchbacks. So that continues to be something that is a position of strength for us. Defensively, the negatives is we allowed 5.6 yards per rush. I mean, that's the most that we've allowed in a long time here. I thought we were poor on third downs. We could not get off the field in the second half. The quarterback scrambling around really hurt us, especially in the second half. The positives, we had the interception that ended the game. We limited their explosive pass. I think they only had about 6 yards per attempt in the passing game, which is really good. Offensively, the negatives were the first drive of the game. We went 3 and out, that's been kind of our MO so far this year. We had 2 critical procedure penalties in the fourth quarter that would have extended drives. The last one put 5 yards on the field goal, which made it a more difficult try for Tyler. And then I thought our attention to detail in the second half just wasn't very good. A lot of Troy beating Troy in the second half. The positives had 0 turnovers. We averaged 10 yards per attempt in the pass game. Thought we did a better job of stretching the field, and we were really good in the red zone. Before we wrap it up, players of the week. Caleb won the Sun Belt Conference Player of the Week, and he had a really efficient first half. Not as good in the second half, but the first half, I think we had 5 scoring drives in a row. He led 4 of them and threw the ball down the field and showed what he's capable of. Our special teams player of the week this week goes to A.J. Smiley. Plays on all 4 units, done a really good job in each of those. Thought he did it. He's been one of the strengths on our kickoff return. Played punt this week. He's been one of the better guys on our kickoff unit. Has done a nice job on our punt return. Guy that has a lot of energy and been a really good special teams contributor for us through 4 games. The offensive lineman of the game was Tristan Crowder, and Crowder's been our most consistent guy all year, but he graded out 94%, had 6 knockdowns, played a really good game. Defensive player of the week goes to Cedarius Rookard, 9 tackles. By far his most productive game, the best he's played all year. Had a pass breakup, did a really good job late in the game getting us some coverage. Offensive player of the week, we never give it to the same guy gets Sun Belt, so it goes to Sidney Davis. He had 6 receptions, 78 yards, had a touchdown, blocked extremely well on the perimeter. Scout team players of the week on special teams, T.J. Gibson, a guy that has a lot of speed, done a really good job giving us a look. Offensively, Anthony Conwell. Anthony mimicked the Green kid for us last week. And then on defense, Charles Henderson product, Kobe Smith, really done a nice job for us at the D-line. Our Spirit Award, Corey McCullough's Spirit Award goes to Hamilton Hawthorne. That's the 3rd consecutive week by and far. He's done a great job with his sideline energy. I didn't think our sideline energy overall was very good. Some of these guys aren't going to make any more trips, so they can't cheer any better. But Hamilton Hawthorne continues to do a really good job in that role. And then our Nathan Harris Service Award goes to one of the best guys we have on our team, and that's Melvin Tyus. He's done a ton of work in the community and really great ambassador for our program. So Wrapping up, ULM, thought it was a solid win versus a quality opponent. If you sit here last Monday and told me, hey, you're going to go on the road and beat Monroe, it's going to be 35-27, I said, yeah, I'm in, let's go. And so I didn't really like how it looked in the second half, but we've got to learn from our mistakes. And the talking points coming away is we got to play with attention to detail, we got to play with more discipline. But they are a really good team. I think they're going to be a bowl team. I think they're going to be one of the better overall teams in our league. They're really explosive on offense and much improved defensively. But the second half shows that we have clearly not arrived, and we've got a lot of work to do, which we'll get back to work on this afternoon. We got Coastal Carolina coming in, and they get to come back home for the first time in a long time. I think they got back on Sunday. I don't think their campus is still open. But they've gone through a bunch of adversity here in the last couple of weeks after the storm. And I know they spent last week in Jacksonville, and I think they're a really dangerous football team. I think anytime you go through adversity, especially in the game of football, it brings you closer. And they've been together a lot now for almost 2 full weeks, and they're playing the best football that I've seen them play in the last 2 years. A lot of respect for them. I'm very impressed with them in all 3 phases. I think they're very well coached. Joe Moglia has done a tremendous job. Glad to see him back on the sidelines after missing last year. Really enjoy him. Appreciate what he's done. Excited for our guys to get back home and have an opportunity to play for the first time in 3 weeks in front of our home crowd as well. Coastal, real quick, kind of give you a picture of them. Offensively, the offense coordinator is Jamie Chadwell, who was the interim head coach last year. Before that was the head coach Charleston Southern. This is the 3rd time in 4 years we'll go against one of his offenses. And option-based attack, very difficult. They do a lot of different things. They read a bunch of different defenders. The quarterback, who unfortunately was injured late in the game last week. I'm not sure if he'll play or not, but he was playing. He was one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the country. Their O-line is probably the most improved unit on their team. They got 2 solid running backs. I think they got a difference maker in number 9 at wideout. Defensively, they got a new defense coordinator who's been in a lot of Power 5 places and well respected in the profession. They're playing with a lot of confidence. I think they have 2 of the better defensive ends in our league in 94 and 9. And then their linebacker, number 29, Silas Kelly. I like watching him play. You can tell he has a passion to play, flies around, makes a ton of tackles. I think he's one of the best, if not the best, linebacker in our league. And in special teams, they've got a great long snapper, really good op times. I think the Tyler kid, who's a receiver, is a real solid returner, and they've blocked 2 field goals. And I think their punters had a good year. So all in all, we're going to have our hands full. We're excited. We got Military Appreciation Day on Saturday. That's something with the military ties that Duke University has. That's something we take a lot of pride in. Traditionally, we've played well in this game. That doesn't mean we're going to this week, but traditionally we've played really well in this contest. A lot of activities planned, flyover. I think the American flag's on cover of the field, so really good. I know we got a couple other things going on campus as well. I think it's Family Day and preview. So we'll have a lot of newcomers on our campus for the first time, and we want to put our best foot forward athletic department-wise. But it's a fun time. We're glad to get back home, and I think we're an improved football team than when we left after the FAMU game. So we got to go out and prove it. With that, I'll answer some questions.
Coach, was it more complacency the second half that was the difference in the first and second half, you think, or did ULM do something different?
I think they're pretty talented. I think that I think they were displeased with how they played the first half, and I thought, and I wasn't in the locker room, so I don't know, but I bet Matt got after his group pretty good, and they came out and played with more of an edge than we did. They're talented, really talented on offense. The quarterback, difficult matchup. We felt like it was going to be a difficult matchup going in, and he scrambled around, found some guys late. And then offensively, they play really hard up front. They did a good job of moving and kind of taking away some of our run game in the second half. Probably should have been a little bit more should have attacked probably from a play calling standpoint more so than we did. But, you always look back and think of things you could have done better. But I think it was a lot of them. And I think the mistakes we made weren't effort issues, but just discipline issues. And what I mean by that is just eye discipline. If you allow a completion on 3rd and 24, somebody's messed up. You know, if you get two procedure penalties on the last 2 drives of the game that knocked out first downs, that's an attention to detail discipline issue. And I thought Troy beat Troy in a lot of ways, and we've got to clean that up. And if we don't, then we're going to have some difficult games ahead.
I thought Caleb had a couple of good touch passes in the first half especially. And there was one pass he threw inside the 10, I think it was to Letton in the first half. That was a laser beam to get it in there. Can you characterize his evolution in the pass game?
Yeah, I think he's talented. I think that because he has speed, I think a lot of times he's thought about as a runner, but he throws the ball extremely well. Been efficient. He's accurate with the ball, gets the ball out of his hand fast. He needs to be more comfortable in the pocket. I think he leaves the pocket sometimes when he doesn't need to. But I'm very comfortable with where he's at as a passer. I thought last week was his best week of preparation. I thought he was humble in his preparation. He needs to continue to do that. But he's a quality passer, Barry, and I think he can continue to get improved, and we got to continue to stretch the field with him as well.
I think you said before the start of the season you didn't want Caleb to be your leading rusher. Looks like in the game, 15 attempts, successful, 2 touchdowns nonetheless. Are those by design? Is that by people not getting open, a combination?
Yeah. No, part of it is when Jabir got the targeting penalty, he couldn't play in the second half. We're thin at running back right now. And some of them were plays where Caleb's trying to make something happen when he shouldn't have. He should have handed the ball to the running back. He misread a couple things in our run game where he pulled the ball where he should have kept it. You know, I don't necessarily want him to get 15 carries. I'm comfortable with that 10 to 12 range, but anything higher than that is not really what we're looking for.
You mentioned him a little while ago talking about Sidney Davis. What have you seen his growth this year compared to last year and how he's fitting in with that wide receiver group?
Well, he's one of our hardest workers. Had some big catches for us there in 2016, 2 game winners really. 17 struggled, had some things going on, didn't play as quite a high level, and now you know he's taking advantage of other people's mistakes and moved in where he's got really sole possession of that H position, and he's done a really good job for us. You know, not only catching passes the last couple of weeks, but doing a really nice job blocking on the perimeter, which is something we asked that position to do.
When Marcus had those 2 run backs against Coastal last year, was that strictly him? Was that?
We blocked one really well, Barry, and one of them was a really phenomenal play by him. You know, it was one of them we got hats on hats, and the second one was he just really made a guy 2 people miss in space and was an incredible solo play. And that's something that's really missing. I've been pleased with our special teams, 3 out of the main 4 phases. I like what we're doing in the punt game. I think a punt return, we obviously had a touchdown. We blocked a punt. Our kickoffs, Bratcher has kind of led the way for that. But our kickoff return, we were second in the country last year, and we got basically the same people back, and we just hadn't done as good a job. And so that's one we've got to give Marcus some opportunities. He missed a couple plays against Boise where he didn't read it right, but since then we really hadn't given him an opportunity.
You've said that Coastal runs an option attack, and it looks like, just looking at their numbers, they've been able to rush the ball very effectively. What's the challenge there for your defense?
Well, I think it's challenged on both sides because they do such a good job running the football. They hold the clock a lot, and so that provides, you know, it makes you have to be efficient on offense. You got to take advantage of your opportunities, especially on third down. Makes third down even more important. But what they do, they run the ball in so many different ways to so many different people. Their quarterbacks are going to be a threat. They play 2 true running backs a lot of times in the game, which is something you don't see real often anymore. And then I think Jamie does a really good job mixing up who he's reading. There's some midline. There's a little bit of veer principles. There's some belly principles. He just does a nice job. It's really difficult. You have to defend the whole field, and he does a really good job of not letting you get into a rhythm defensively.
3-1 over the first month of the season. Is this exactly where you thought your team would be at this point?
I don't know. You always hope you're going to be 4-0. You know, I didn't think we'd come out and lay an egg out the gate. Thought we had an opportunity to get off to a good start if we played well. And the thing for us is I think we made improvements. I thought it was real clear our improvement from week 1 to week 3. I thought there was clear improvement between week 3 and the first half, and then we kind of fell back in some mistakes we made in the first half against Boise there in the second half versus Monroe. So it was clear that we're not as mature as we need to be. We got to continue to work. I think the next 2 weeks are really critical for us as a program. We're going to play at home here for in front of our home fans. We got 2 conference games starting with Coastal this week, but we've got to really get better as a football team because we're playing against some quality people. Some people they're gonna make you play disciplined football, especially this week in Coastal, and we've got to continue to get better. I think we respect Coastal, but the focus is really on us and us making strides and continue to get better.
You mentioned the improvements and getting better. Where specifically are you looking at getting those improvements at?
Yeah, well, defensively, we got to stop the run better than we did the other night. We've got to limit quarterback scrambles. The quarterbacks in our league tend to be athletic, dual threat types, and we've got to do a better job of containing the quarterback in scramble opportunities. I thought we did do a better job of limiting pass plays Saturday, better than we have at any point in the season. Then offensively, we've got to be consistent. We got to start games better. We're going to change some things up in how we practice just because we haven't started the games very well at all offensively, whether it's nerves or whatever it is. We're just making a lot of mistakes early, so we got to get that cleaned up. And then we got to be able to run the football to close out football games. We failed to do that 2 weeks in a row. We've got to be able to run the football and close out games.